Romelu! Didn't want to do this so early in the year. I didn't want to have a problem, but you've made me. You bloody made me! Hello everybody, welcome back to the James Lawrence Allcott channel. I've got a problem with Romelu Lukaku, as does a lot of Chelsea fans. The big question is it well-founded? Has he been muggy? Can he recover from this? So many questions. In fact, I've got loads of quotes and loads of questions that we're going to be driving into, probably. Not even diving into, we're going to be driving into them. Because it's that much of a mess that poor old Romelu, or is he? Is he poor? Because he's not, is he? He's rich. And if you're earning that kind of money, you just got to be quiet and never speak ever. Now, I don't think that's probably the case. But I do think Romelu's had a bit of a nightmare. So I have some questions that I want to dive into. Why did Romelu Lukaku take this interview? When was it agreed? Why didn't he consult the club? Should he have consulted PR? Should Chelsea fans be hurt? I think that's a big one here. How has Tuchel dealt with this issue? And can Lukaku recover from this? But I need to get a piano. Before I get into all of that, and the quotes, of course, as well, subscribe to the bloody channel if you like chatting about football, because this is the one for you. Join the community. This is for the quiet ones who aren't always that quiet. Right. First thing says, I think we've got to go to the quotes. A little move there. Oh, ruined it. So what I've got here is the sort of the key quotes of Romelu Lukaku's interview, and then from that, what I'm going to do is tick it off in terms of, was it muggy or not? Because I think that's important. Because, I mean, there is huge responsibility on Lukaku's shoulders here. He is certainly at fault at times. But some of these things aren't that muggy and have been kind of misconstrued. And oh my God, like, I'm not going to say his name. I'm not happy with the situation, and that's only natural, Lukaku said. The head coach has decided to play a different system and I mustn't let up. I need to keep working hard and be professional. I'm not happy with the situation, but I am a grafter and I mustn't let up. I think the coach can get me playing more, but I have to respect the choices he makes. All I have to do is keep working and wait for my moment. Now remember the 3rd of January, because I'm about to say that Lukaku did this interview 3 weeks ago. Okay? Now, there are deeper questions as to why has he done this bloody interview. We'll get to those questions in a second. But in terms of this quote, and if you want to get angry about it with this quote, I don't think it's muggy. So much so, I'm going to go like this. Cross. Just zoom in on that cross there. Okay? Not muggy for me. It's just not. Especially if you take in the context, you know. I could go on SofaScore here, but I won't do it. Basically, if you look at the games when this interview was taking place, it happened when he was fit and available. And we know that he's someone who is smart, but also someone who is forthright with his views. And he was someone who wants to play. And also, he's a striker. When you're a striker, apparently, I'm not a striker, but we're playing with people that are strikers. They have a different personality. They want to be the guy. And when they're not being the guy and they're not available, and there is this big price tag on them, and you want to go and prove stuff, and you are a leader, even in his own mind, even if not in his actions. And that's something that Tuchel has spoken about loads, how much he's a big personality, how he can take the squad to the next level, because it is still a very, very young squad at Chelsea. But this was 3 weeks ago, and I think that kind of lost in translation element of it for this one. I don't think that's muggy at all. I really don't. He's not happy with the situation because he's not playing. That's only natural. I think that's only natural is a really important part of this. I'm going to circle that. You know, the head coach decided to play a different system. This is I think it was I can't remember the 2 games, but Kai Havertz was playing as like a false 9. And so he was a bit annoyed with that. And if it goes out the next day, again, I think it's okay. He's not happy with the situation, but I'm a grafter and I mustn't let up. I think that's all like really obvious, chilled stuff. The bigger problem, which we're going to get to, is why even do the interview? Why? These quotes are kind of reveal why he did the interview, these next few quotes. So let's go here. On how he left. I think that everything that happened shouldn't have happened the way it did, he said. How I left into how I communicated with the fans. This bothers me because it's not the right time now, but it's not the right time when I left either. It's not the right time now. Listen to your brain. Listen to yourself, Romelu. Listen to yourself. It's not the right time now. In the middle of the season when you haven't really delivered for Chelsea as of yet. But we'll get into this. Now, I think it's right to talk. No, it wasn't though, was it? Because you said just before that it wasn't the right time now. Because I've always said that I have Inter in my heart. Chelsea fans are going to get annoyed by that. Rightly so. What are you doing? It's not the time. It's not the time. I'll go back and play there. I really hope so. I'm in love with Italy. Now, this is what I mean. So when I've got my questions here, let me just zoom out for a second. Because when we talk about the questions I've got here, this one here, should you have consulted PR? Should you have consulted the club, Chelsea? Yes. Because if we go back to those quotes, if you're a bit more switched on in terms of what you're saying and what you leave out, all you've really got to say here, Romelu, because ultimately all you're trying to do is appease Inter Milan fans because you're upset of how it ended. All you've got to do is say, I'm in love with Italy. And it didn't work how I wanted it to. It shouldn't have happened the way that it did. That's it. The bits in between, muggy. Right? Just muggy. It's just so silly. We move on to another quote, and we will answer all those questions. Don't you worry. Talking about the transfer again. This is the next stage of it where it's like, stop it now. Stop flirting with Inter. I know this is a Sky Italia, interview, so you're going to be a bit more charming to the Italians. Of course, the Italians were annoyed. The Inter Milan ultras were really annoyed at the way that he left because it was one of those where ultimately we all want to be romantic about it, but money played its part. He was talking about an extension that he didn't get. Chelsea came and offered him that money, that the ability to take the Champions League winners to the next level. There's a lot of different things in place. No doubt he loves Inter because it revived his career. He says it himself, he saved his career. But let's not, don't go over the top with it. And Inter Milan fans, you have to kind of facilitate a way of feeling okay about it. And so you go, okay, you just went for the money, which I get. I totally understand it. But ultimately, he wanted to play in a better league. And he kind of went to Serie A, maybe not to go back to the Premier League, maybe it was La Liga, and maybe I'm being arrogant in this, watching the Premier League more than Serie A. But there's a reason why those top six clubs, or not top six clubs, the top four, are teams that, dominate the Champions League. Again, top four, you're going to go after me there. But you get what I'm saying, right? Again, the flirting is a little bit outrageous, I've got to be honest. Lukaku, who still follows the team and tunes in for every game, always, I watch all of them. When Inter touches your heart, it's different. It's different. Now, if you're an Inter Milan fan, you're like, oh, buzz him. But he doesn't play for us. What's he doing? Now, I think overall this is a bit of a storm in a teacup. And I think Tuchel's already dealt with this brilliantly, and we'll get into that. But just make your life... I feel like it's like Jerry Maguire, isn't it? It's like, help me help you. And always, you've got to remember your wife back at home when you're flirting with someone else, apparently. I wouldn't know, but I'm guessing that's the way to do it, okay? Muggy. So muggy. So muggy. Final one. Oh no, final two, sorry. Conte leaving. So the only reason Lukaku left was the extension. I think if they'd offered me a contract extension, you and me would not be talking in London right now. So remember, he did invite Sky Italia into his home. Muggy. Lukaku reiterated his desire to return in the future. I hope from the bottom of my heart that I can one day go back to Inter. Not right at the end of my career, but when I'm still at a good level, so we can hopefully win more trophies. And then spoke about strike partner Lautaro Martinez and saying, a possible reunion. He said, no, stay there. I'll be back. I will come back. Now, the ambiguity of when he would go back, I think the thing we are saying is he's not saying probably that he wants to go back next year or the year after that. But I think what he is saying is that he only wants one contract at Chelsea. And if he doesn't, then why do the bloody interview once again? So it's close, but it's muggy. Again, so let's get to the questions here, because this is the problem I've got with the guy, is that he's too smart to be being this stupid. It clearly is too smart to be being this stupid. And I think he's fortunate that he did cost so much, and you do know you will get quality from him on the pitch, that they're not going to completely throw him away now. It's been quite reactionary, and I get it. I totally understand it, because you shouldn't be saying those things. You shouldn't be taking that interview. But this isn't over. He'll be fine, I think. Let's get to those questions. So why did Romelu take this interview? I think he took it because it's a bit like he couldn't let the girlfriend go. He's still in love. Chelsea fans won't want to hear that. And again, that's why you don't take the interview. But he's still in love right now. And he didn't like the way that he ended, and he wants to be a hero, which I think is all fair and commendable, right? But you've got to pick your times for this, because that goes on to the next question for me. It was he took it because he's still hurting, and it's an ego thing, right? It's ego. He's gone, I can't deal with the fact that I'm completely disliked by a group of fans that I really, really loved, and I'm trying to fix it. And this is what I think. I think with a lot of these things, and in life, we do this all the time. We all make mistakes, right? But the intentions behind those mistakes are often actually quite not wholesome, but there's good intentions there, right? So I don't think he's that evil. I don't think he's evil at all. And so I think the idea here was that he got clouded by the fact that I don't feel totally loved at Chelsea this second, because I'm fit and available, and I'm frustrated because I want to make an impact at Chelsea. But at the same time, he's still looking at Inter Milan, and he loves Inter Milan. And so he's trying to fix it. That's why he did the interview, which is a bad decision and a bad reason to do it. When was it agreed? I think that's an interesting one as well, because I wonder if it's one where that didn't move that quickly. And actually, this is where you've got to be fair and he's got to take responsibility for it, because either this was 4 weeks in the making, and it just so sat on a week where he was frustrated and then said the context of his situation in that moment in time 3 weeks ago then had to be revealed. Or it was I'm annoyed, get someone on a plane now, I want to talk about Inter Milan now. That's what I would love to know. And if anyone knows the answer to that, again, it's going to be on your desire to assassinate his character, suggesting that it was one of those where, actually, I've been hurting about this for a while. I don't want to. I want to get that forgiveness from Inter Milan, and so he had it whilst he was injured with his ankle, and went, yeah, okay, we can do this and solve it. Again, not consulting enough people, I would presume, because I think if he's consulted and then takes that consultation, this doesn't happen. This interview doesn't happen. It gets done at a different time. So when was it agreed? I don't know the answer to that, but I'd love to know. If you do know in the comments, let me know when this interview was agreed. Why didn't he consult the club? He didn't consult the club because I think deep down he knew he shouldn't be talking to his old girlfriend, but he wanted to. I think it's as simple as that. That's why he didn't consult them. I don't think there's any way around that, because that's why there's been such intense disappointment from Chelsea. Should he have consulted PR? Abso-bloody-lutely, right? If you've decided, right, I probably know this isn't the best idea and Chelsea aren't going to enjoy this, but I want to do it, the next thing you need to do is have a look at how you're going to go through this interview, because you are Romelu Lukaku and there will be shockwaves from something like this. So when you go into something like this, there's a couple of questions you need to ask yourself. What's the best that can come from this? And what's the worst that can come from this? And that's what someone who works in PR would have thought about. They would have thought about the next couple of stages, which is, I think, what Chelsea as a club and Tuchel has been advised to do and has done so very, very well. But he should have consulted someone to go, is this a good idea? And if this is a good idea, how should I bridge it? How should I discuss these key points? It feels a bit like, I can't remember, I think it was called The Decision. LeBron James, you guys will correct me if I got that wrong. LeBron James made this fanfare about where he was going to next, and it fell so flat. So flat. And this feels a little bit like this, where he's trying to kind of retrieve a situation in a moment in time that he doesn't need to do it. He doesn't need to do it. He can solve it, but he feels like he needs to solve it now because it's hurting him. And he's a human, and I get it. But he should have consulted someone, because there are moments in the interview where he went, firstly, I'm not happy with how it ended. That's an absolutely fair thing to say. But he's missed out on all the other repercussions of the situation we're in right now, the fact that you're not playing at this moment in time. And it's a little bit arrogant from that point of view. And I think this is something that actually happens quite a lot. That people that are really, really intelligent make stupid decisions because they think they don't need that consultation or to take that consultation. And he should have done that, in my opinion. He should have done that. Should Chelsea fans be hurt? Absolutely. Absolutely. Chelsea fans should be gutted about this, to be honest, because he doesn't completely love you. I think he's got unfinished business from a personal point of view, from that ambition of wanting to prove that he can succeed at Chelsea. But the kissing of the badge, I think if you're going to do that, you got to do that wholeheartedly. You got to be really careful about it. And for him to then do this interview, just so dumb. And the things that he's saying, we talk about it with those quotes there. We talk about Inter always in my heart. That means your heart isn't 100% with Chelsea. And fans don't want to hear it. So again, go into that interview, think about what's the best that could happen. Inter Milan fans understand me now and we can move on. As if. Like, what's the worst that could happen? You piss off both. Just silly. Just so stupid. So Chelsea fans should be absolutely hurt by this. I think, can they recover from it? I think it's a tricky one now. He's got to really put the work in and keep quiet for quite a while. And this kind of keeping quiet thing is interesting. I'm not about that, right? But there's a time and a place. The timing of this is so poor. It's so silly. Like, you cost 97.5 million. They're not just going to throw you away. Just sit tight for a second. There's a life lesson in this. When you are feeling like, I'm annoyed here, just wait a second. Take a breath. React a little bit later on. Because if this doesn't happen, he's then come back and been the guy, scored a couple of goals, and it's like, okay, yeah, he's the hero. So silly. So should Chelsea fans be hurt? Yes, they should. Absolutely. Should they forgive him straight away? No. Should he apologise? Yes. Because the lost in translation element of this is a part of it. And the bit that, as we've gone through the quotes, him and being not happy with the situation, I think that's fine. I'm actually kind of cool with that. It's the flirting with Inter Milan. How has Tuchel dealt with this issue? I think he's done brilliantly. I think he's done it really, really cleverly. He's done it Tom Cleverly. Like, it's as if Tom Cleverly was dealing with this. He's done brilliantly, I think. But I think he's been, he's used his team and he's gone, okay, what are the 3 stages of this? The 3 stages of this are, okay, this is a big thing. Okay, there needs to be repercussions. Okay, I still need this player. And him saying in the interviews yesterday, we're going to have a meeting tomorrow, is genius. It's so clever. Because he's drawing the line. He's creating the line. He's saying, okay, well, it's up for grabs. We don't know. All have your moment, media. All have your moment. But we'll shut this down tomorrow. And by the end of this week, he will have either scored in the EFL Cup or scored in the FA Cup or possibly scored in both. And this will kind of be over to a point. It is silly this isn't Aubameyang. This isn't that same thing where you go, okay, we just get rid. It's too early in his time at Chelsea. They need him a little bit too much, I think, because they need that ability to mix it up, especially against the lesser sides, which is where Chelsea have really struggled to break down the opposition. Having someone like Lukaku is just so important for them. So can Lukaku recover from this? I don't know if he can. For like 100%, in terms of 100% recovery, I think this will hang over his head forever, really, at Chelsea. But in terms of it being useful to Chelsea, there will be a recovery for sure. because he is an important asset to them. What's going to be difficult is that whenever he goes into a tough period of form, or if he has a couple of more injuries, because it hasn't been the start that you truly would have wanted, this will come up. This will come up, and that is a huge, huge problem. And he's created it himself for absolutely no reason apart from the ego massage of being loved again by Inter Milan, where really, for what he did for the club, I think they would have let it go in time, but he couldn't help it. And we've all been there. We've all been there, haven't we? We go, oh, no, I just want to solve it. And he hasn't solved it. He's made it 10 times worse. Right, guys, let me know what you think. If you've enjoyed this video, then please do consider hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. Chelsea fans, talk to me. How do you feel about this one? Let me know in the comments below. Is this one that we will move past? But is it something that will leave a stain on his reputation for a long time? I think it may well do so. But what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments below. Guys, so much content on the way. Make sure you subscribe. Speak to you guys soon. Have a great week. Ta-da.